you doing? I've got my mittens, my first two. I've got a small one and a larger one. I've done all the knitting, but I need to block them now. So I'm gonna make a little video showing you how to do that if you've not been shown that before. If you've done anything with me before, you've probably heard me going on about blocking, but just they will look a lot better if they've been blocked before you sew them up. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Here we are. I'm ready to block them. I've pinned them all out. I've used glass-headed pins, and then I ran out, so I've used some T-pins, which you are actually supposed to use for blocking anyway. So that one I had to T-pin, and because this is natural fibres that I'm using, I'm going to steam them. If you're using a different yarn and it's got any man-made fibres in it, what I would recommend is pin them out like this and into the mitten shape, but then just get a bottle of water, a spray bottle of water, and spray them until they're really damp, and then leave them like that until they're dry, and that will do the same job. But don't steam them if they've got any man-made fibres in. So I've pinned them out on this board, which I made specially for this job, but you could have I could have just pinned them straight onto the ironing board, or if you've got like an old towel that you can put over the ironing board, or you can use foam play mats that you can get for children. So I've got them all pinned out now. I haven't pinned the rib because we don't normally block the rib part, so I haven't done that. And I haven't sewn any ends in yet because I'm going to use all these ends to sew up, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that as well. So I've got an old tea towel. I'm going to cover them up with the old tea towel. I've got my steam iron, and I'm just going to hover the iron over the cloth. Oop. Press the steam button. I'm not pressing down on it. I'm not even touching it. I'm just letting the steam go in to the knitting. And that's all you need to do. You don't want to be pressing down. We're not pressing, we're just steaming. So I'm doing these three. I am ignoring the rib part, ignoring my iron that's making a beeping noise. I'm not doing the rib part, I'm just doing the main part of the knitting, and then I'm going to just move it over and do that one. I think that's probably enough now. You just want lots of steam going in. Don't worry about doing it too much. It likes it. Steaming my gosh a lot. Right, I think that's probably enough. So I'm just going to leave them to cool, and then when they've cooled down a bit, that one's nearly cool. When they've cooled down, I'll take the pins out. Right, I'm going to take the pins out now. So I use glass-headed pins because then they're not going to melt. If you get the plastic-headed ones, they're going to melt in the steam. And the other ones that I was using are these T-pins. They're metal, and they're meant to be for blocking, so they're fine to use. So that's one. See, it's nice and flat now. We're not curling up like it was before. So take all the pins out now, and then I can sew them together, and then that's my first two. if you're going to add any decorations, it's probably easier, like if you're going to sew any buttons on or anything like that, it's probably easier to do it now. You could still do it afterwards, but it's probably a little bit easier to do it before you sew them together. I might have a think about that before I sew them together. So much better. It's not all, it's flat now instead of it being all curled up. So it's just, it probably seems a little bit over the top, but I just think this is something, you're spending some time on it, you've spent some money on some decent wool, so you might as well do the proper finishing, and then you'll be happier with it, the end result. So there we go, ready for sewing.